It was a beautiful day, except it wasn't. For her, at least. She sat on the horse that led to the unknown, the faded rose clutched in her hands, pretty sure she crossed the rose underneath her breath. Her whole face had been moistened with tears. Her father was on a horse by her side. Both wore a grim expression. They both know he won't be there for long. As they approached a beautiful gate, her father called her by name. Her nature, not particularly her face, had earned. The beauty. This is it, he said. And as the gate opened, Beauty went in to meet the beasts. This is the story of one of the most beautiful love stories Disney had ever made, Beauty and the Beast. This is the original story, which was written by French author in 1740. I'm starting the story in the way most fairy tales begin. Once upon a time. There was a merchant, a rather rich merchant. He had 6 beautiful daughters and 6 sons. Although his daughters were proud, selfish, and demanding, they all led a happy life, but he soon lost it all. His fortune vanished in a storm that sank his ship, which rendered him flat broke. So he used up his last funds to take his family to a rural village, and boy, his daughters were not helping at all. They were always complaining about their new, simpler life, all but one. His youngest daughter, whom all called Beauty. She was kind and loving and beautiful. Her sisters, although they weren't bad looking themselves, were extremely envious of her. They just couldn't stand how nice she was. They led a simple life, which her father and brothers were low-key starting to dig, until news arrived that one of the merchant's ship had miraculously returned to port. This gave them hope. So, their father set out to get back his wealth, and he asked his daughters what they would want on his voyage back. They all asked for jewels and gifts, but Beauty just wanted her father to come back safely. But her father wanted her to ask for something definite, so she asked for a single rose. But on getting there, he found out that the goods had been used to settle his debt, so he came back just as broke as he left. His journey back was the worst. He became lost in the forest, so he sought shelter in a big, beautiful castle. There, he saw food on the table. He sought out the host of his mansion, but he found none. So he helped himself to the food. Although suspicious, he was really beat up and hungry. Soon, he went into a deep slumber. When he woke up, he saw another food set out for him. He still sought out to seek the master of the palace, but he still found none. So he helped himself again. He wandered around the castle and found gold, jewels, all which he took some for himself. But as he was about to make a clean escape, he saw the most beautiful roses in winter. And he remembered his daughter Beauty, so he went to pluck them. But as soon as he picked the rose, the color slowly drained from his face as he turned to see the most hideous creature he had set his eyes on. He couldn't decipher what exactly this was, but it made the hair on his body stand. Worst of all, the beast had a terrible expression on his face. He cursed the merchant, accusing him of being ungrateful. He took the food, he had his rest, he took the jewels, and now he came back for his precious rose. Goodness, this guy could take the whole castle if he could, or worse, move in. He gave the sentence to his crime, death. The merchant immediately fell at his feet and pleaded with the beast to spare him. He immediately started narrating his whole story, perhaps to buy time, but for what exactly? Surprisingly, the beast reasoned with him. He heard him and he gave him options. He said he would spare his life if he sent one of his daughters instead in 3 months. And I know you might be thinking, what an idiot, this man won't come back. The beast thought of that too, and he basically told the merchant, hey, if you don't come back, I will look for you. I will find you. And when I do, I would end you and all your family and I'll burn the whole place to the ground. Or something like that. The merchant went back distraught. When he got home and told his tale to the family, the whole spirit of the house fell. It didn't take too long before Beauty's sister accused her of being the cause of everything. Her and her damn rose. Beauty, incredibly sad and blaming herself too for this new development, accepted her fate and pleaded with her father to let her go when the time comes. Her brothers volunteered to try and fight the beast, but she wouldn't hear it. This was something she decided she would do to save the whole family. When Beauty got to the castle, she expected the beast to devour her, and her mood was incredibly sour. But the beast did not touch her. Instead, he treated her as the mistress of the palace. She was given access to the whole castle. It was incredible. There were invisible spirits, monkeys and parrots that help her. She had a magic window that worked like a TV. She could see different people around the world, operas, shows, and many more. And this was 1740, way before TVs were even a thing. She had a library that had so many books a person could possibly read in a lifetime. The Beast would see her every day after dinner. They would have a short, boring conversation, and every day he would ask Beauty to marry him, which she always declines. Although she feared he might be in love with her and might just put an end to her if she kept refusing his marriage proposal. But at night, she had the most beautiful dreams. She would see a beautiful young prince who claimed to be in love with her. He would tell her the finest thing, and even she fell in love with this prince, but he kept telling her to not be deceived by appearances. She would also see a beautiful woman who would tell her the same thing. Do not be deceived by appearance. One day, Beauty summoned strength and asked the beast to let her see her family one last time. He agreed. He gave her a magic ring, no horse, neither with no horse neither, with so many riches. Come back at the end of 2 months. If not, I might die of heartbreak, he said. Dead serious. When Beauty got home, everyone was true that her rival. Everyone but, you guessed it, her sisters. If you had grown more beautiful and more graceful, the Beast Palace was basically a vacation for her. Even her sister suitors were now in love with her. Whoa, okay, that's crazy. Beauty spends her time with the family being pretty, kind, and loving, but the dream stopped and it disturbed Beauty. She sold her father of the phantom and of the beast's kindness and marriage proposal. Her father, however, urged her to marry the beast, but Beauty wouldn't hear it. She claimed the beast was too boring, and although she appreciates his kindness, she only loved him platonically. Friend zone. 10 months passed and Beauty still stayed with her family, but she had a dream that night that the beast was dying in the castle. She saw the beautiful woman who told her that if she don't come back, she would be responsible for the death of the beast. Beauty immediately went back to the castle where she saw the beast dead. She used a bucket of water to revive him. When he got up, she confessed that she was so worried about him. Perhaps she might care about him more than platonically. That evening, when he asked her politely, who replied yes. They slept in the same room the night, but she woke up the next day to see the handsome prince in her dream instead of the beast. Turned out they had been the same person all along. Beauty was on cloud nine at this new development. While her fiancé slept, two women came into the palace. She recognized one as the woman from her dream. When they saw Beauty, the unfamiliar one wore a pleasant expression. She thanked Beauty for saving her son, but immediately became hostile when she found out Beauty was the daughter of a mere merchant. Mama wanted royal blood. But the other woman, who turned out to be a fairy, told the queen that Beauty was actually royal blood. She was the prince's cousin, and somehow this is better. When the prince came out, Beauty asked him how he became a beast. And here is where we hear the beast story. The prince never knew his father. He had died before he was born. For most of his young life, his mother had been on campaign in war, as some kings had their eyes on a kingdom ruled by a queen. The prince had been kept in the hands of a powerful fairy who took care of him and raised him. But when it was time for the prince to go back to his mother, the fairy demanded the price a little too high. She demanded that the prince marry her. Naturally, this creeped out both mother and son. Apart from the fact that she raised this boy, the fairy was ugly. The book has said it wasn't due to old age, because she was still ugly in the prime of her youth. Her magic power could only make her beautiful once a year. While they were reasoning with her over her ridiculous demand, the queen suggested she go look in the mirror. That did not go down well with her. She blamed the good look of the prince for them being so haughty, so she cursed him to become a hideous beast, till a beautiful girl, unaware of the fact that he's a prince, willingly agreed to marry him, without him trying to bother her up or anything. Plus, if anyone but them know about the true form of the beast, he would remain like this forever. While both the beast and his mother wanted to take their lives, the good fairy came and assured them she can help them. She turned everyone that witnessed this into stone statues and basically made the magic castle for the beast to live in and be entertained. She said she had prepared her niece for the prince since then. And here is where we hear Beauty's story. Beauty's real mom was a fairy, the good fairy sister who fell in love with the king, the queen's brother, and married him even though this was against the law in fairyland. You weren't allowed to marry a human till you reach a certain hierarchy. Remember that particular mean fairy who wanted to marry the boy she raised? Yep, she exposed her mother and made sure she's put in fairy prison because Beauty father was told his wife had died of a strange illness because they were too scared to tell him, hey, while you were hunting, your wife went poop. The evil fairy came to assume the face of a woman she kidnapped because remember how ugly she was to woo the king into marrying her. Yes, she had her eyes on the king all this while. Apparently, he was her first target. She became the embodiment of sweetness. She took care of the child as if it were her own. And although Beauty father loved the fact that she was taking care of his daughter, he couldn't bring himself to marry her. And so she decided to kill the little Beauty to make him forget any connection he had with his quote unquote late wife. She bribed the couple to execute her sick plan in the wood, but the good fairy saved the child by turning into a bear and tearing the couple apart. This made everyone believe the bear also did the same to Beauty. This only worsened matter for the fairy. Beauty's father arranged for her to leave and not be allowed back. Normal, being the sole loser she was, she tried to get back at him, but the good fairy, with the help of an even stronger fairy, saved him. Maybe she got tired and decided to go for plan B. Hint, hint, the prince. She then took Beauty and exchanged her for the merchant's already dead daughter. That is the good fairy. While she finished the story, Beauty, not so real family came in. Their horse had taken them there by force. They basically run through everything that had happened. Her brothers and fathers were genuinely happy for her, while still kind of sad that she wasn't really their sister and daughter. But her sisters were jealous to the core. Although they pretended to be happy, they fooled no one. But everyone just ignored them still. Beauty and the prince got married. Beauty reconnected with her real parents. Her mother broke out of fairy jail and became stronger. She still kept strong relations with her foster family, and they all lived happily ever after. And that is the story, the original story of Beauty and the Beast. It's kind of beautiful if you forget the fact that Beauty and the Beast were cousins, but I guess during the time it was written, it was okay. I don't know.